Our next session is a must-watch for all the cricket enthusiasts. Today, we are embarking on a thrilling literary journey that captures the essence, drama, and magic of cricket through the pages of a compelling book dedicated to this beloved sport. The book we are about to delve into promises to be more than just a collection of statistics and scores. It is a celebration of the spirit that unites fans across borders, transcending the boundaries of nations and cultures. Pitchside is an insightful narrative that brings readers closer to the heart of Indian cricket, revealing both its glory, its quirks. Amrit Mathur's book offers a captivating journey through the corridors of a sport that holds a special place in the hearts of millions. We have with us Amrit Mathur ji. He is an advisor to the Federation of Indian Fantasy Sports. He has over 30 years of experience in senior management positions across sports federations, authorities, corporate entities, the government and media. He started his career as Secretary Railway Sports Board in 1988 and was responsible for formulating sports policy in Indian Railways. In 1996, he took up the role of Secretary Sports Authority of India, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, and headed a team tasked to implement sports plans and schemes of the Government of India. We are honored to have you with us, sir. Moving forward, let us welcome our first discussant for the session, Arun Lalji, an Indian domestic cricket stalwart. Jagdish Lal Arun Lal played 16 tests and 13 ODIs for India. He was the man behind Bengal and East Zone's rise in domestic cricket during the 80s and the early 90s. He got his first test cap at the age of 27 against Sri Lanka in 1982 and made 63 in his debut innings. His first-class stats, though, are the quite opposite. At the time of his retirement, he occupied the 5th position in the list of players with most career runs in the Ranji history, averaging 53.23. One of the most memorable moments in Arun Lal's first-class career was the 1989-90 Ranji season, where Bengal emerged as winners. Currently, he works as a TV commentator. Joining them on the dais, we have our second discussant, Shlok Chandra ji. Shlok Chandra ji is an alumnus of National Law University, Bangalore. He is an advocate practicing in Supreme Court and High Court of Delhi. He is standing counsel of Income Tax Department and many public sector bodies. He has been appointed as an arbitrator both by high courts and by Registrar of Cooperative Society. Recently, he worked closely with Supreme Court Justice L. Nageshwara Rao to amend the Constitution of Indian Olympic Association. One of the amendments implemented was to bring in 50% women representation in sports administration and have the first elected athletes commission at IOA. He is very passionate about sports and governance matters. We are extremely excited for this session, sir. I'd like to request you to please unfold the conversation.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome both the co-discussants, Mr. Amrit Mathur and Mr. Arun Lal, are both childhood friends. So, they both go back each other, and I'm actually meeting both of them for the first time today. So, my first question is actually to Mr. Arun Lal. If you can tell us, before we get into the book, your first memory of Mr. Amrit Mathur from your college days and while of playing cricket with him.
Yeah, I was senior to Amrit, and we were in college together in Delhi, and we actually came in contact with each other because of cricket. We're both cricketers. We both played for college and the university. And in those days, St. Stephen's was, very, very into cricket, and we had this rivalry with the college across the road, which was Hindu College, and everybody was very, very immersed in cricket. So that's how we became. And I remember ragging him, when he first came, and making him do a lot of despicable things. But then we became very close, and in life we've been very together for many, many reasons. But carrying on, at the outset, what I would like to say about Amrit's book is that it's unique. I have never come across a book like this on cricket. It's the actual happenings as he has seen it. It's a first-hand account of behind the scenes, what happens in a cricketer's mind, what happens to him. We see the celebrity, we see the champion, and they are champions. But what goes into the making of a champion, and how vulnerable they are at times, and how difficult it is to be a champion in Indian cricket. So he knows it all because he's been a manager, he's been a cricketer to begin with, he's been an administrator, he's run World Cups for the board, he's been that close to huge organizational abilities, and he's also been, at the helm of an IPL team as well, and which is something, all of us know about. And so he could shed light. And more importantly, it's not an opinion, it's factual. It's exactly what happens in the cricketing world from the administrative point of view, from the managerial point of view, from the player's point of view. And so this is why I say this is probably one of a kind, this particular book, and I highly recommend it.
So, Mr. Amrit Mathur, tell us a little. You were the manager of the Indian cricket team in the '92 Friendship Tour when India toured Zimbabwe for one test and South Africa, where you met Nelson Mandela. It was a very important tour, not only for South Africa because it was we were the first team they were hosting post-apartheid. Tell us a first-hand account of that tour. As the manager of the Indian team, where you were privy to all the insides of the dressing room. Tell us a little of the role of the Indian manager at that time.
Well, before I start on that, thank you very much, Shlok, and thank you, Arun, for all the kind words you said. And just to tell you that I joined college in my first year. Arun was 2 years senior. He was a star. He was a successful cricketer who quickly made Ranji Trophy and he much beyond. So we all looked up to him in college because he was part of us, but we were part of the same team. And he was an inspiration in college and to everybody. So somebody read out his stats, I think, when we started this. 10,000 first-class runs, 30 hundreds, test matches, whatever. There's one thing I like to say, not just about him, but anybody who's played for India. We are a country of 120, 40 crores. We've been playing test cricket for almost 92 years. And in this period, only 309 people have played for India. So anybody who gets there and gets an India cap is super special. He's talented, he's gifted, he's worked hard. So you must celebrate and respect anybody. Even if he's played one test match, he is super special. So congratulations, you've been terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah. Coming back to the tour of 92, actually I got into that position by chance. I was a normal government officer. I got to know Mr. Scindia, and that sort of put me onto the BCCI and led to all the things. It's like, आजकल होता है ना दुबई में golden visa, and there's a credit card with lifelong validity. So I think Mr. Scindia gave me that golden visa of Indian cricket, that credit card of lifelong validity, which I'm still using. So suddenly I was made manager of the Indian team going to South Africa. I was very young. Azhar was the captain, Kapil Dev was in the team, Ravi Shastri. I think Kapil and I were the same age. And in those days, people were not used to young managers and things. And to make it worse, I was not aware of what I was supposed to do. But I found it a bit odd in the beginning that you are on a tour. The manager I found out very quickly, is the boss on the tour. He's the leader of the delegation. In terms of protocol, he comes before even the captain. So here I was young, inexperienced. Azharuddin is captain, and we had a coach in Ajit Wadekar. And Ajit Wadekar is Ajit Wadekar. Yeah. He's won Test series for India and England and West Indies. But in terms of protocol and leading the team, so to say, I was the boss. And to an extent, it got embarrassing at times that we'd be seated at an official function, only me and Azhar on that main table. So Mr. Wadekar somewhere else, which I found a bit disturbing. Also, more worrying was at the end of the tour, I was supposed to write a report on the players, which would be like, you judge Kapil Dev's performance, his commitment, attitude, discipline, is he good or bad? So the irony did not escape me that Kapil Dev is Kapil Dev. And here I am, a young, new, inexperienced person to write a report on him. So after much thinking, I wrote some rubbish, some general remarks about Kapil Dev, Azhar, whatever. But fortunately, I realized I shouldn't have worried because nobody reads those reports. They're just junked, put in a corner and forgotten. But that tour was special. It was South Africa's return to international cricket, the first team to tour South Africa. Officially, we did not recognize the South African government. Our passports were stamped, not valid for South Africa and Israel. So there was a complete political context to the tour. As you mentioned, it was supposed to be the friendship tour because of our past association with South Africa about
and you all met Nelson Mandela as well.
Yeah, we did. And actually that was the only instruction I got when we left for South Africa. Okay, please, straight away, ask for a meeting with Mandela and, go present the team to him. Which we did, and he was very gracious. You walk into a room where he was sitting or standing and you realize that that man is something different. And you are privileged to be in his company. You are honored that he's found time to meet you, which he did. And he also came to cricket matches later on to Johannesburg and I think once in Durban. So it was an important tour and
the quality of cricket was also very high.
Yeah, good that you mentioned that because we went to South Africa, it was like a journey into the dark. It's like when people play Deep Patti, you play blind because you know nothing. So nobody knew about the players, nobody knew about the conditions, pitches, about anything. And we were sort of taken by surprise at how good they were despite 20 years of isolation. They had a very strong domestic structure. The players were ready. They were hungry to prove themselves on the international stage. And they were the superior team. We got beaten. And actually that caused a lot of disappointment because everybody thought that the Indian team has come. Maybe they'll defeat the white South African. I think the expectation was that Indian team IE, South Africa ko haraegi and maybe in a way take revenge for all the oppression and all the injustice done to the non-whites in South Africa. But that's cricket. That you don't settle things like that. So the tour was important and not very successful from the cricket standpoint, but I think historical in a way.
But there was another very interesting episode that happened for people who remember that Kapil Dev warned Peter Kirsten two, three times that don't step out of your crease, and he munketed him, and later there was an incident where Kepler vessels hit Kapil Dev on the ankle. So tell us a little about that incident and how you had to step in as manager of the Indian cricket team.
Yeah, it was. You're right that Kirsten was taking an unfair advantage. Kapil, being the gentleman that he is, warned him twice. When he repeated it, he sort of broke the wicket, appealed, and the umpire had to rule him out. I don't think we should call it munket, etc. I think it's a non-striker trying to cheat. It's very simple. He's supposed to not take that unfair advantage and go down the wicket and get a start and try and take a run. So anyway, that happened, but Peter Kirsten, behaved as if he was the aggrieved, and things got a bit tense for a while. Related to this is the issue where Kepler vessels sort of deliberately hit Kapil Dev while taking a run at the wicket. And first we thought it's a normal cricket accident which happens sometimes, that the batsman does collide with the bowler. But Kapil was very clear that it was deliberate. We lodged a formal complaint to the referee, Clive Lloyd, who called everybody and he spoke to Kapil. I represented the Indian team and Kepler defended himself. And it was one person's word against the other. Now the crucial part of this would be television footage about what actually happened. And strangely, and it's still difficult to believe, that the South African Broadcasting Corporation said that during the 7 hours of play that day, somehow that 30 seconds, there was a technical glitch and we don't have the footage. So 7 hours of footage is available, but those 30 seconds when Kepler sort of was taking a run and hit Kapil with a bat is not available. We all knew that was a lie, but Clive Lloyd, who was the match referee, just shrugged his shoulders and said, what can I do? And I had the feeling that Clive Lloyd actually ducked it. He knew the truth. Whole world knew the truth. Who knew who was lying and who was, right? But I think Clive Lloyd, being a non-white himself, didn't want a controversy of penalizing the captain of a white side in South Africa at that time.
Just to, add another dimension to this, I was doing commentary many years later with Kepler Wessels. He's a decent bloke. He's a really nice guy. And obviously there was some remorse for this particular incident. And Kapil, they walked in. And he looked at me and he said, Arun, I actually hit this guy with a bat. I actually hit this guy when nobody was watching. And I have been actually trying to apologize for that for the last 20 years. And he still doesn't talk to me today. So that's the issue.
Yeah, but during the inquiry, this sort of, his conscience didn't sort of trouble him. And he just lied with a straight face.
Now, tell us one more thing, that after this tour, when South Africa visited India, that was the first time when Mr. Madhurao Scindia assigned you the task of, calculating what the media rights are worth. At that time, there was no concept of media rights. So how did this, and now the media rights run into millions and millions of dollars. So how was that exercise? How did you go about figuring out what is the right price of, to charge the South African board for the media rights? Tell us a little about that.
Listen, that's a very interesting story, but it happened before we went to South Africa. The South African team had come here to play 3 games.
Right.
And that was the first tour after apartheid. So there was interest back home in South Africa to watch those games live. So the broadcasters wanted the rights from India to show those matches. Now, when they asked us about buying those rights, we in the BCCI firstly didn't know that we owned them because we had never done a deal like that before. We thought Doordarshan owned it. Hamara to hai nahi hai. So it would have been like trying to sell Taj Mahal when you don't own it.
Right.
So, but anyway, as they were keen on buying, we tried to find a price. And nobody had any knowledge. Kyunki pehle kabhi hua nahi tha. I spoke to Doordarshan. They mentioned some figure. Then I went to the master commercial king, Mr. Dalmia, saying कि आप बताओ कि कितना होना चाहिए. तो he said, दूरदर्शन अगर 10 रुपए कह रहा है तो तुम 20 मांग लो. So, but that's no way to negotiate a deal. So, we were going back and forth. So, ultimately, I just told Ali Bakar, who was the chief of South African cricket, why don't you give us an offer? Because I didn't tell him that हमको पता नहीं है. तो आप बताओ. So, after घूम फिर के, he said, why not $30,000 a game? Which to us was a big amount because we didn't expect $30,000. Still said, can we do something more? He said, okay, let's settle for 120, so which is $40,000. So that was the first ever deal done on television, $40,000 per game. Now, $40,000 is
about 32 lakhs.
Whatever. So that was then. Compare this to now, where each IPL game gives the board about 120 crores. So one game of 3.5 hours of cricket.
Just the TV rights.
Just the television rights. But in this entire thing about negotiating the first television deal, the important point is, A, we did not know anything. We were ignorant. So we didn't know we owned the rights. We didn't know what price to ask. So, but you learn, I guess, and that's how things happen.
And there's also some very interesting anecdotes in the book about how Kumble and Srinath used to cook sambar and rice in their own rooms.
Listen,
So-
Shlok, you're not supposed to read the book so carefully. Yeah, but those were days when it was not very easy to find vegetarian food abroad. And in a country like South Africa, some of them are really struggling if you're a hardcore vegetarian. So it was not always, but on some occasions they would carry that small cooker and they'd make sambar and rice. And, that's how it
So
was.
tell us also about the team dynamics. One has always seen in at least my generation Sachin as being the leader, the first among equals. But at that time when Sachin was a junior in the team, Sachin, Jadeja, Srinath, Kumble, they were the juniors. Ravi Shastri, Azhar, and they were the seniors. Kapil Dev. So tell us a little about the team dynamics in that era.
Listen, I think Arun is better suited to answer that question. But what I noticed was that Indian team has very strong traditions, where you will always have seniors, you'll always have juniors, but there is a system by which the seniors sort of help the juniors, and the juniors respect the seniors for their achievements and what they've done. And they're very healthy traditions about simple things like who'll sit where in a team bus, how do people sort of allocate their places in the dressing room, what kind of clothes to wear to a function. But in terms of the senior-junior dynamics, I think Arun is better suited.
Well, as soon as you come as a junior into the Indian team, you first stand at short leg. You are the expert short leg fielder immediately because nobody wants to stand there. So
When you're senior, you go to first slip.
and also the dynamics, so-called dynamics that he's referring to, Amrit, that when you're a junior, you walk into the dressing room and you wait. You wait for everybody to go and sit in their place, and the last place left is for you. Those are the dynamics of the senior junior. But actually, more on a more serious note, it's a serious thing that you're doing. You are 11 in your entire country that's representing your country. And, whatever help from whatever quarter that you can actually get is what you're looking for. And you're very tense. I tell you, you are so tense that sometimes you're unable to perform to potential. And that's where the seniors come in. They calm you down. They help you with, how to handle this tension. Because if you're not tense, and that's also not good enough for you. You may not be able to concentrate as desired. But over tense is also not good. So, that's where they help. Now, hats off to them because they are going through the same thing. In the 11, although you're senior and junior, but you're still expected to perform the same. There is no MD and a fresher. An opening batsman, whether he's playing his first test or he's playing his 100th test, he has to still go out there and get 100. So, you first look after yourself and then try and help others.
About the dressing room and things, the senior-junior dynamics. In the team bus, Sachin, I saw for many, many years, would have the front row left next to the window. So every tour, that position is taken. Sachin will sit there. Similarly, everybody else finds this place. And that's one way of the senior-junior dynamics playing out. Arun mentioned about tension and things. I've seen that tension at close quarters in dressing rooms over various tours. I remember Sachin telling me he's played, I think, 640 games for India, test matches, one days, whatever. He said, even before every game, I can't sleep. So if that can be tension for Sachin Tendulkar, you can imagine the condition of a junior player, somebody starting out. The expectation, the uncertainty, the stress, the fear of failure, it's a huge thing. Saurav would repeatedly say that I've lost hair and I've lost weight, not because of the physio, but because of tension. I've seen players cry in the dressing room after a defeat. So they are highly stressed out and they are performing in a situation which takes a lot out of them.
So
When you're talking about fear of failure, it's intense. Just the other day, I think maybe 2 days ago, I read a quote from Rahul Dravid, one of the most revered performers in Indian cricket. And he said that it's only 40% of time that I have crossed 50. So, even 50 is only about 40% of time that I have crossed it. So I'm eminently qualified to speak on failure. I am an expert on failure. And he is probably one of the most successful, the top 5 most successful batsmen. So failure is a part of it. And it's a one-ball game. The tension is astronomical. So somebody like Rahul Dravid talking about it, Sachin talking about it, Saurav talking about it. So it's really of that kind of magnitude.
I want to add to this. Sometimes failure at an important moment can scar you for life. We all remember Javed Mian and Chetan Sharma. You know, Chetan Sharma remembered, he was a very successful player, but you remember him perhaps reason for that 6 that Mian hit. We were in Pakistan in 2004, and we had the first one-day game at Karachi. And in those days, I think India made 360, and Pakistan was chasing. It was a close game. 350 at that time is like 450 now, because 350 was considered, you know, बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया. Ashish Nehra bowled the last over and defended 9 runs. So there's massive celebration कि India जीत गया, close game. Now what was Ashish Nehra's reaction after all this? He said, मेरे तो गले में आ गई थी, and मेरे को डर लग रहा था कहीं मैं चेतन शर्मा नहीं हो जाऊं. So that much, you know, failure can scar you. Well, here Ashish Nehra playing an important game, but he's thinking about Chetan Sharma's failure.
Correct. You know. So, from your time of watching the Indian cricket team in the last 35 years, tell us 2 things. 1, the best fielder that you have seen in the Indian cricket team, and 2, the best captain that you have, observed.
Listen, these things are very subjective. Yeah. My choice and yours could be entirely different. They could be both right, they could be both wrong. But I think by common consensus, we've had some great fielders. I saw Kaif. Kaif was absolutely brilliant. Azhar in his time was super. But let me tell you a story about this is about Raj Singh Dungarpur and Tiger Pataudi. Now, Raj Singh Dungarpur was a great cricket student, lover, whatever you call him. And he was also a friend and fan of Tiger Pataudi. So one day Raj Singh ji told me that Tiger has been the best ever fielder in Indian cricket. So I said, I argued with him. I mentioned Solkar, I mentioned Azhar, I mentioned, he said, no, Tiger. So I knew Tiger. So next time I met him, I asked him. I said, Rajbhai was saying this about you. So Tiger, being modest and things, he looked at me and said, you know Raj? I said, huh. Raj is mad. End of argument. So it can be very subjective, but I think we've had great fielders. I think Kaif has to be one of the better ones. But listen, Mr. Lal himself was a super specialist slip fielder. So let's get his opinion.
No, I wasn't anywhere near them. But what I want to say is that the fielding standards in Indian cricket have changed for the better. Fitness has become a buzzword. More than a buzzword, it is a requirement, which wasn't there in my time. In our time, it was more considered your technique, your talent, and it's a thinker's game, which it still is. But to it, you can say that जिस तरह की फील्डिंग में अब देखता हूँ इंडियन टीम में, हमारे वक्त में ऐसी नहीं होती थी. कोई एक आध फील्डर का नाम आ गया तो ही स्टैंड्स आउट, पर आजकल तो अगर आप सुप्रीमली फिट नहीं हो तो आप वो टीम में आप अंदर घुस ही नहीं सकते हो. तो विच हमारे टाइम में हम बोलते थे कि ऑस्ट्रेलिया दे आर मच स्ट्रॉन्गर, मच फिटर, मच फास्टर, बट नो लॉन्गर. आई थिंक द इंडियन टीम नाउ इज as good as any other team, in fact better in many aspects of fielding and fitness. And it's been taken to this newer height. It's been growing and growing, but Virat Kohli has really made a difference to Indian cricket.
In terms of fitness.
Absolutely.
In terms of how important fielding is, Virat was the one who made it non-negotiable. If you're not a good fielder, you will not get into the Indian dressing room. So that's where it's reached. I remember, of all people, Bishan Singh Bedi telling me that in his days, a dropped catch was routine. You know, गिर गया तो गिर गया. अगर boundary पे किसी ने ball छोड़ दी पैर के नीचे से चौका हो गया तो हो गया. He said a bowler would not even show anger. अगर easy catch भी drop हो गया तो it's taken for granted that catch मुश्किल से ही पकड़ा जाएगा. So that's how it changed. Now you drop a catch, you gone. You might not play the next game because of poor fielding, let alone your batting or bowling.
You know, one more thing. In our time, if you were fielding at long off or you were fielding at deep cover, it was मतलब रेस्ट करने का समय है, क्योंकि ये सब जानते थे कि एक ही रन होगा और दूसरे का कोई चांस ही नहीं है, तो आराम से फील्डिंग करो. You know, it's time for you to rest. आजकल, if you are at the deep cover boundary and there's somebody like Virat Kohli who's batting, he's going to make you look like a fool because he is going to go for that second and he's putting so much pressure on you. I'd rather stand in slip rather than in deep cover. And you know, because Virat has come in, you're standing another 10 yards in because I don't want to look like a fool that by the time the ball has reached me, he's already turned around for the second. And because of that, I'm rushing in and 2 overs later, he's hit a ball past me for 4 because I've come so much in. Quickly, I'll tell you another very good story. We were playing the West Indies in Jamaica. Kapil Dev was bowling, and Viv Richards, that time he was really something else compared to everybody else on the field. And he was in tremendous form, and he was hitting it hard. And I was at extra cover, saving 1. And slowly, he was hitting it so hard that I said, Lal, yaar, 5 yards back, 5 yards back, another 2 yards back. And suddenly, I was so far, I was almost about 15 yards from the boundary. And Kapil in his run-up, he stopped. He said, he looked at me and he said, Arun, where the hell are you? You know, what are you doing? I said, बोल कर यार, वो single तो ले ही नहीं रहा है, वो भी जानता है मैं कहाँ खड़ा हूँ. फिर, still he was trying to hit it past me for 4. And he wasn't in, you know, he could any time have blocked it and taken a single, but he wasn't doing it. So, you know, fielding, even the sport has changed. Out then, there were these real fabulous, you know, different players, and they were way ahead of the others. But today, there are obviously the Virat Kohlis and the Joe Roots and Kane Williamsons in batting, but general standard has gone up. All 11 are almost there, almost there. So it's really become fabulous to watch the entire team operating.
I want to just add 2 more things on fielding. You place your best fielder on the boundary now. You know, the best catcher, especially in an IPL situation. So you'll have Virat Kohli as long off or long on, or maybe deep mid-wicket. Now Virat Kohli is going long on to long on. You know, otherwise he's after, as the over ends, he's sprinting across 150 yards to be at long on the other end. This was unthinkable earlier. I also remember a conversation in a team meeting where between Sehwag and Kaif. Now, Kaif was the unofficial fielding captain of the Indian team. You know, he would tell everybody what to do, kya karna hai, kaise. So he was telling everybody, aap short cover pe aage aao. You know, as he was mentioning, come close so that you cut the angle and you stop the single. So Sehwag said, nahi, ye galat hai. He said, tu piche bhi hoga to tere se run nahi lega. तो आगे आने की ज़रूरत क्या है? बी सेफ, तू पीछे रहे, तेरे से ऐसे भी डरते हैं सब कैफ से, तो तू पीछे रहे. So there can be different things, but the point is that fielding is something which is discussed seriously in a team meeting. You want to position your best fielders at places depending on who the batsman is, and if you can't field, then you can't find a place in the Indian team anymore.
And also about the best captain, in your view, the best captain that you've seen, because you've seen Azhar, you've seen Ganguly, you've seen Sachin briefly, you've seen Dravid, you've seen Kumble, then you've seen Ganguly, you've seen Dhoni, you've seen Virat. So out of these 8 or 9 names, tough one.
Very tough, yeah. But I think, you know, all of them had something special going for them. Nobody's a complete package. Maybe.
That's too diplomatic.
No, hang on. I think I think Dhoni has to be the closest to be, somebody who has everything in him. Because captaincy, I think, is not all, tactics is a small part of captaincy. At that level, everybody is smart, everybody knows. If you're good enough to be playing for India at that level, all 11 have a clear thinking of how the tactics and strategy is going. It's actually a cliche, but it's man management to get the best out of the other 10. And I think in that, Dhoni is unique because Dhoni is the only captain, who has the shortest team meetings in a dressing room. The coach can come and give his gyan, the mentor will speak, the data analyst will give 100 presentations about what to do. Dhoni will sleep through it. And in the end, he said, "Tumhe jo karna hai, tum kar lo, main field mein to main dekhunga." So he has his own way. He's instinctive. He's got phenomenal match reading of the situation about what to do. But I saw Saurav very closely because I was on many tours with him. And I give credit to Saurav for 2-3 things. One is again man management because you had a set of players who were far superior to Saurav. Sachin, Lakshman, Sehwag, Dravid, Kumble, Srinath. They were better cricketers. But somehow he had the respect of all of these. And he respected them. So he got the best out of players who were perhaps much better than him at cricket. Similarly, he had this group of youngsters, Yuvraj, Harbhajan, also Sehwag for a while, Nehra. And Saurav's theory was that ये मेरे match winner है. ये भले match में fail हो नहीं हो, I'm going to trust them, I'm going to keep them. So they felt that they have to do that extra for Dada. So I think that was great that you have better cricketers who are happy to go with you. You have these youngsters who are trying to do extra because the captain has so much faith in you. I think that was Saurav's success. A lot has been said about Saurav, getting under the skin of Steve Waugh, getting people to wait. I think that's all charming myth. वो एक दो बार कभी हुआ, अनजाने से हो गया. It's not that you would deliberately do that. And I've been witness to some occasions where Saurav has been genuinely delayed for reasons totally apart from trying to deliberately keeping somebody waiting. Once in an important game, the referee is on the ground, the other captain is on the ground, Saurav is missing. Why is he missing? Because in the dressing room we can't decide कि toss जीतेंगे तो batting करेंगे, bowling करेंगे. तो argument चल रहा है अभी. Argument चल रहा है वहाँ Steve Waugh खड़ा है. And the umpire and the match referee are fuming. So it has nothing to do with deliberately, getting under anybody's skin. Sometimes things happen and the media gives it a slant and that slant becomes, which is the untruth, becomes the truth after a while.
And you were in the Lord's balcony when Saurav Ganguly took off his shirt after in the NatWest victory in 2002.
I think Saurav Ganguly had a certain sort of lapse of whatever. He thought he was Salman Khan, So, yeah, I was there. So, actually, I've been lucky to be at some important occasions
but
of...
it was a reaction to Flintoff. Was it?
No, it was very deliberate. Listen, I know this story now. I didn't know it then, but obviously Saurav had this in his mind. कि उसने जो किया हमको भी करना है और Lords पे करेंगे. कि Lords is special. Lords is not any other ground. It's Lords. And apparently he told this to other people. कि, you also join into it. Right. So Dravid said, sorry, मैं नहीं करता ऐसा है. This is not my style. So others were not so sort of forthcoming, but Saurav being Saurav, he did it. Yeah.
Okay, from the administrative point of view, can you tell us what's the difference between managing an Indian team and managing an IPL team?
Listen, Indian team managing, when I started, was a bit tough. Not tough, the manager had to do a lot of things. When we went to South Africa, I was the manager and we had one doctor physio with us. That's it. You had the 14, 15 members of the team and the two of us. As a result, he and I were also doing fielding drills. Because कुछ करने को कोई है ही नहीं, कौन कराएगा? So we had to do everything. We had to organize hotel, transport, net bowlers, खाना, किसी को चोट लग गई तो doctor. Now the Indian team goes with 20 support staff. The Indian team goes as a group of 40. We went as a group of 17. So whatever the manager did earlier, now a specialist has been assigned to do that job. So as a result, the manager today has no job. The manager has now actually 2-3 important things to do. A, he has to organize that the wives of the players are well looked after. They are seated properly. There's a gadi to take them to the ground. bring them back from the ground. So that's work number one. Work number two is he has to ensure that there are enough match tickets. मैच टिकट्स ऑल हमेशा कम होते हैं, किसी को ज़्यादा पास चाहिए, तो किसी तरीके से मैच टिकट्स हो जाएं, सबका काम चला जाए. Third thing is that he has to wear a tie and a blazer and look busy. So that's the job of the manager. Now, you don't need a manager anymore. The Indian team can go and play without a manager. The captain and the coach can, if there is a referee or a Clive Lloyd kind of situation of inquiry, anybody can step in.
But the captain and the manager always get a hotel suite, whereas everyone else gets a room.
Listen, I was very happy that, मैं तो नया manager हूँ, but on a tour I happened to get a suite, and only the captain and the manager get a suite. Everybody else gets a. Actually, and one time when I think Arun was playing, you had to share rooms. So you didn't even get a single room.
And I was all the time out of the room.
Why was that? Why was that? So when Arun was playing, you shared rooms, you traveled economy, you had such a low daily allowance that you were looking to be invited every evening by somebody so that you saved on your money, or you didn't have the money. So that has changed. Now the Indian team has, I think, $150 a day allowance, and they are in single rooms, they travel business. Often they travel through chartered planes, so it's come a long way. But you also asked me about IPL and the normal manager's role. See, in the IPL is commerce. It's dhanda. You're ultimately, it's more important to have a positive balance sheet than to win IPL, because people have invested serious money in it. So, as the CEO, you have to produce results on the cricket field. So you have to assemble the best team, the best coaching staff, give whatever input, train, select, whatever. At the same time, you have to answer the owner on the financial results of the team. So that's a different ask and a different responsibility. So, but I think it's quite challenging and it's quite nice, because ultimately you're leveraging the commercial power of the player to deliver those positive results. For instance, if I have Sehwag in my team, and when I'm negotiating a deal with a sponsor, now he is also interested in Sehwag partnering his brand or his business or his whatever he's doing. तो वो मेरे से कहेगा कि अच्छा मैं आपको I'll do a 10 crore deal with you. But my condition is that Sehwag has to make 3 appearances, do a television shoot, and come and meet my office and talk to my people. So I'll say नहीं मैं 10 crore दे रहे हो तो अब मैं Sehwag will do only 2, और 4 चाहिए तो आप मेरे को 12 crore दो. So you start negotiating on these lines, but people are depending on what money he's giving. Sehwag will go only to a top sponsor, not to a chota sponsor. Sehwag will not do a television commercial in case the money is not okay. So there's certain other dynamics, but that's how it is. Ultimately, it's the money that matters, especially in the IPL.
Okay, quickly, you've been in the midst of the IPL. You've been there from the beginning. In fact, not many people know that before the IPL, you were already in a IPL construct, which was almost 5-6 years before. So the idea was already there. How did it actually fructify into an IPL, which is now one of the largest Indian brands worldwide? And who's responsible for it? And has it been good? So that's huge, but you've got to answer it quickly.
Listen, 1 minute. The IPL has changed cricket, and IPL is India. I think India has made only 2 contributions to cricket. One was we were told that Ranji started the leg lance. So that's India's #1 contribution to world cricket. The other contribution to world cricket is the IPL. Apart from this, I don't think we've taken, India has not taken cricket forward. IPL has changed everything. Now, every other country is trying to somehow do what the IPL has done. And we've reached a stage where test cricket doesn't matter, where ODIs don't matter, where your young cricketers don't even want to play Ranji. It's a young cricketer starting to learn cricket is only learning cricket to play IPL. He's been coach of a Ranji Trophy team. He'll confirm this, that nothing else matters except somehow get an IPL contract. So that's what has been the impact of IPL. But he mentioned that the IPL didn't come all of a sudden. IPL people worked on it for 15 years before it happened in 2008. I was part of the team. Mr. Lal was also part of the team. And we worked with Lalit Modi to make the project report, the draft IPL kind of thing. But at that time, maybe we were not ready. The economy and those numbers, the media rights were not there. And in fact, I remember a meeting between Lalit Modi and Mr. Jagmohan Dalmia, where Lalit mentioned and tossed all these figures, itne crore yahan se aayenge, ye sponsor hoga, media rights hongi. And Mr. Dalmia's one sentence response was, Mr. Modi, you are living in a fool's paradise. Meeting over. So IPL is the major thing. And that's the way world cricket is going to go. Maybe we will not have test cricket 5 years down the line.
Also, I would like to say that persona non grata is in India is Lalit Modi, and but for these unfortunate circumstances that transpired later, that resulted in him being in exile, I don't think there was anybody else who could have constructed an IPL for India at that time. So in my mind, there was nobody else who had the foresight, the perception, the vision, the understanding, and the will to be able to make an IPL. So in that sense, he was a hero for Indian cricket. As for today, he's forgotten. He's actually almost been shelved as a criminal. But that's the truth of the matter is that nobody else in India could ever have made the IPL. And in fact, even Amrit will bear this out, that when it was being constructed, in fact, you can carry on from there and tell them how many were trying to break down his door to buy an IPL team. Because at that time, nobody believed in the IPL. Nobody wanted to own an IPL team. Today is the biggest thing in sport in India. So, just give them a little bit of an insight there.
Yeah, India was the last country to accept T20 cricket. So all other countries were experimenting with it. We were absolutely reluctant. Not only reluctant, we were opposed to it. So IPL changed all that. And just to give you a figure, last year, Cricket South Africa made a profit of $4 million. That's less than the money Virat Kohli makes. So this is how the economics is. The Lucknow Super Giants pay the BCCI 750 crores every year just to operate a team. That's like an annual fee. 750 crore every year just to run a team. And they are doing it knowing that after 10 years they'll double that money in profits. The profits are guaranteed. So there's no business whatsoever like the IPL. That's a totally separate discussion. But the IPL's numbers are amazing. Cricket is recession-proof in India. IPL is guaranteed profits right through. शुरुआत की कहानी तो actually everybody knows that there were 8 teams to be sold. There were only 9 bids. And one was technically kharab. So basically there was 8 out of 8. And उसमें से 2-3 reluctant थे तो उनको persuade किया गया कि यार आप टीम खरीदो, आप टीम ले एंड उनको काफ़ी लालच भी दिया गया कि हम आपको विल सपोर्ट यू, अगर आपको स्पॉन्सर नहीं मिल रहे होंगे तो हम आपको स्पॉन्सर दिला देंगे, हम आपको बड़ा खिलाड़ी आपकी टीम में डलवा देंगे. तो पीपल हैव टू बी परसुएडेड टू स्टार्ट एंड कम इनटू दिस बिजनेस. एंड नाउ जस्ट जो नहीं आया उस टाइम अब रो रहा होगा, with the money that it generates.
So how was it, when you managed the team of Delhi Daredevils in 2008, how do you rate Sehwag as a captain? Because Sehwag is a very shrewd cricket mind. How do you rate him as a captain?
Listen, Sehwag is one of his kind. He's got, people say that he doesn't think, and but I think his strength is that he's uncluttered. There are not 100 things happening in his mind. He is a very sharp guy. He knows his cricket. He knows what to do, what is to be done, and he will not look at anything else. I remember a discussion where some expert, everybody is a cricket expert, मैं भी हूँ, आप भी हो. So after an important match, they were discussing with Sehwag कि आज इतना swing हो रहा था, wicket ऐसा था, cloud cover था, bowler ने ऐसा किया. So Sehwag looked at him in amazement, saying, यार आप इतना सोचते हो, हम तो बॉल देखते हैं और बैट घुमाते हैं. So that clarity is important for a person, for a player, for everybody. So he's very sharp, and don't get taken in by his thing of being carefree and things. He puts as much effort as Sachin Tendulkar into his cricket. Everybody has a different way of doing it, and
So, and you've seen so many great cricketers up close. So, what is it that makes the elite cricketers like a Dhoni, Kohli, Sachin different from the others? What is that 5% differentiating factor?
Yeah, I'll talk about Sachin because he is after all the ultimate. And I think what's important about him is his aura. He's humble. Arun is known and played with him for a long time. He's humble when there is so much to not be humble about. But he's not changed. I've not seen him change 25, 30 years. He's a simple guy, but you walk into the field and he's like Bahubali. He's transformed. There he owns that space. 2 years ago we were at Lord's in the press box, and he and I were chatting, there's Akash Chopra with us, and suddenly we found somebody standing behind wanting to sort of catch his attention. So, जैसे वो conversation में थोड़ा break हुआ, that gentleman came आगे and requested Sachin for a selfie. Now, who was that gentleman? This is Jimmy Anderson. He's played 170 test matches for England. He's the highest wicket taker as a fast bowler in cricket history. But he's waiting to get a selfie taken from Sachin Tendulkar. I have seen Sachin coming out of a dressing room and a group of Pakistani cricketers standing, and they just moved away to make space for Sachin Tendulkar to move out. So that's the kind of aura. Teams stand in a queue to get a photograph done after a game. Teams players from other teams would come and get something signed by him. So there is an aura about him. Also, it's easy to see why he is special. And you don't have to look at his cricket. Have a look at his room in a hotel. It is the cleanest room possible. Everything in place. You look at his kit bag. Kit bags are a mess. Mr. Lal will tell you how messy they are with bats and old clothes and spikes and batting gloves and things. With Sachin Tendulkar's kit bag, everything is in place. Every bat in a nice polythene cover. The spikes are also in separate shoe covers. Everything in place. So when you're traveling and you're on a tour, very often the instructions are कि आज कल सुबह की flight है. So your bags will be collected at 11 o'clock at night, or leave your bags outside your room. I'm sure this is a standard exercise. So अगर 11 बजे bags out होने हैं, so you can be sure Sachin's bag is out at 10:30. And Sachin Tendulkar doesn't have to be reminded about anything concerning practice time, team meeting, any social commitment, any appearance. He's got a supercomputer in his head, which is on all the time and doesn't need to be recharged.
So we can perhaps now open it up for questions from the audience, because I'm sure there must be questions in the audience. Yeah, go ahead. Just stand. Use the mic, introduce yourself, and then ask the question. First, hi, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Aman. So, I do watch cricket. My question is the way IPL and different leagues are unfolding these days, and Test cricket remains for purists like you and I. What about the ODI? What do you think ODIs are going to be like in future? Are they going to be after 2027 World Cup? 27 World Cup.
Yeah, listen. फ्यूचर का तो किसी को मालूम नहीं है क्या होने वाला है क्या नहीं होने वाला, पर हमारी अंडरस्टैंडिंग ये है कि इवेंचुअली इट्स गोइंग टू बी इकोनॉमिक्स. अगर कोई देखने वाला ही नहीं है तो उसको आप बचा भी नहीं सकते हो और खेलोगे भी क्यों? Why do you want to play something that nobody wants to watch? So eventually that will happen, but also it's a bit of a complicated situation, because this is probably one sport which has come out with 3 versions officially. Obviously, one will cannibalize on another. You might prefer one-day cricket. I might prefer 2020. Somebody else, the purist. I personally love Test cricket. I would watch one session of Test cricket and view it as a whole. And यार क्या मजा आ गया आज जो मैंने देखा 2 घंटे. मेरे को 5 दिन नहीं देखने हैं. पर सबके तो ये है नहीं, सबकी सोच ऐसी नहीं है. तो जैसे क्रिकेट a country में and worldwide, I think there is going to be space for all. That's my opinion. I can't guarantee it for anybody, nobody can. But economics is now pushing towards one-day cricket. 2020, maybe 10, T10 tomorrow, who knows? Maybe your children, they'll say, यार 2020 बकवास है यार, ये वो कौन साला वेट करेगा? Middle overs बिल्कुल फालतू हैं यार, मैं तो चले जाता हूँ, मिडिल ओवर्स देखता ही नहीं हूँ, शुरू के देखता हूँ और जब वो स्लैम में होती है तब आ जाता हूँ. तो हु नोज आगे क्या होगा, पर फिलहाल मैं बहुत खुश हूँ तीनों वर्जन से.
तो अभी एक 1 सेकेंड, टेस्ट मैचेस को देखना नहीं चाहता, बट द फैक्ट इज जो आप टेस्ट मैच में करते हो दैट इज द ओनली थिंग दैट इज रिमेंबर्ड. सब कुछ T20 देखते हैं, बट T20 इज लाइक दोज ऑटोमेटिक डिसअपियरिंग व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस कि कल जो हुआ आप भूल गए, वो ऑटोमेटिकली वो निकल गया. So it's actually very strange, but I think the people's verdict is very clear. It's T20 cricket.
Dr. Kapoor.
I am Dr. Pradeep Kapoor, a pediatrician by profession, but a writer by passion. I have written a book, The Last Ball 6. My one-line question is, has IPL benefited or not Indian cricket?
Benefited. If you have a balance sheet, there'll be 9 reasons for saying that IPL is good for cricket, it's good for players, it's good for fans. I think good. The only worry is that among the younger players, now there is a disinterest and disrespect for regular cricket, for Ranji Trophy and what we call red ball cricket. So that's the only worry, because there you might have a situation where you have so much focus on T20 cricket that others just disappear. Which might be of concern to you and me, it might not be of concern to him, for instance, who says that test cricket khatam ho gayi, to khatam ho gayi, kya farak padta hai? So I think overall, if you judge dispassionately, IPL has done wonders for cricket.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I am Navdeep Prakash Agarwal, IRTS officer 2009 batch. My privilege to meet you, sir. You are the wizard of IRTS. My simple 2 questions, sir. One is on serious note and one is on lighter note. आपने बहुत close महेंद्र सिंह धोनी को देखा है. What is the secret of his coolness? We want to know. हम लोग bureaucracy में हैं या sports में हैं या youth हैं, जो भी हैं. What is the secret of his coolness? Second one, BCCI, Board of Cricket of India, Cricket Board of India, जो भी है, इसका नाम change नहीं हो सकता. Proliferation of Cricket of India. Why not you think about that change of name of BCCI? Thank you very much.
ऐसा है कि धोनी का कूलनेस का क्या राज है, ये तो स्टेट सीक्रेट है, कोई नहीं जानता. But the fact is, he is genuinely cool. Some people pretend to be cool, some project themselves as cool. I think धोनी का DNA ही cool है, तो he is super special. तो वो किस वजह से cool है ये मुझे नहीं पता, पर एक कहानी जरूर मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि perhaps you would know that Dhoni was in the railways, and the railways were not even picking him for Ranji Trophy. He was not finding a place in Ranji Trophy playing for that. Then काफ़ी दिनों बाद में he made the Indian team. Then he got an offer from Air India, and they said कि वो मेरे को रांची में ही रखेंगे और मेरे को officer बनाएंगे. So he wanted to be released from the railways. I think when you join the railways on a sports quota, you sign some kind of contract for 3 years or 5 years. So I had the power to waive that contract or to enforce it. So I happily agreed to let him go, because my thinking is that anybody going to a better opportunity here, why should I come in the way? So while it was in a way sad that you've lost such an athlete and a super performer in Dhoni for the organization, but at the same time, he has to go to wherever he gets a better opportunity in life. Other question about BCCI, I think Mr. Arun Lal will answer.
नहीं भैया, कंट्रोल की बात है ये, तो नाम कैसे बदल दोगे आप? हाँ भाई, कंट्रोल ऑफ क्रिकेट इन इंडिया, तो भाई वो नहीं चेंज हो सकता.
But listen, ये कई बात होती है कि it's a very wrong word to have, and other countries have हटा दिया है. पहले और भी जगह था. इंग्लिश क्रिकेट बोर्ड हो गया है, क्रिकेट ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो गया है, पाकिस्तान में क्या पाकिस्तान पीसीबी है हाँ तो ये शायद मे बी बीच में था भी एक ये सजेशन कि आप इसको चेंज करो आई एम श्योर हो जाएगा पर मैं एक चीज़ कहना चाहता हूँ कि नो देयर लॉट ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म ऑफ cricket and things in India, but we must also remember that no other country has the kind of cricket that India has. We have 38 national first-class teams. Australia has 6, England has 18, South Africa has 6. If you compare the cricket played in all other countries, India has more cricket. India has under 14, under 16, under 19, under 23, Ranji Trophy, and the same setup for women. So the amount of cricket that we have is phenomenal. What the board does is, it gives you a platform कि ये आप आओ हमारे टूर्नामेंट में खेलो आगे जाओ इट्स अ लैडर इट्स लाइक सेइंग ये मंच है आप डांस करो हाँ हम आपको सिखाएंगे नहीं डांस कैसे करना है आप आओ नाचो एंड इफ यू डांस वेल यू विल प्रोग्रेस एंड यू विल गेट रिकग्नाइज्ड यू विल गेट मनी यू विल गेट फेम बट इंडियन क्रिकेट इज अ ह्यूज लॉजिस्टिक्स exercise almost like the election we have in India the scale is enormous.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, on a more serious note, it is run fantastically. I've been through it, and I've been a student of it, and I've been a commentator of it. So I'm one of the great beneficiaries of the board. I've also had differences throughout my career, but ultimate analysis is, like Amrit says, it's a well-run machine, and the main job, this is my personal opinion, is not to teach the game. The main job is to provide an environment where potential can reach fruition. So you give the best facilities, the best competition, the best wickets, the best incentives, all that, and welfare activities for cricketers, so they feel secure enough to try and put their entire life and immerse it into the game. That's when you'll see people, just jumping out and reaching, and I think the board is doing a great job.
Now let me just give one basic fact about how there's money in cricket and how the money is going to players. There's Ranji Trophy. So there are 38 teams. There's Manipur, there's Meghalaya, Arunachal, the bigger states. So each guy playing each day of Ranji Trophy gets an average of 40,000 rupees a day. So it's 1,60,000 for a 4-day game, and he's playing 10 games. So an average cricketer, he might not be all that skilled. We're not talking of Dhonis and Gangulis and Dravids. We're talking of the lowest first-class cricketer. He's making 20 lakhs a year because of cricket.
We'll take 2 more questions.
Before you take that question, somebody asked about the IPL, is it good or bad? Now, all that 40,000 rupees a day for every cricketer, first-class cricketer in the country, is coming from the IPL. It's not self-generating. Having said that, I think now is the time for, my feeling is that we need to further enhance domestic cricket. Make another IPL out of it. I mean, there's an IPL that's running. Why not enhance the status and value of Ranji Trophy cricket? Really up it.
IPL and WPL.
Yeah.
IPL and WPL.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Sir, just 1 second. 1 second. Tarun, go ahead. Ask your question first.
What changed to make cricket such a behemoth that it is today? Why have other sports fallen so far behind?
Listen, Tarun, you are the marketing guy. You know this better than me.
And I've struggled with this question for the last 15 years.
तेरे को सवाल भी तू पूछ रहा है, जवाब भी तेरे को ही आता है.
नहीं आता है, इसलिए आपसे पूछ रहा हूँ.
Lal, you want to take that? No, you take it. No, listen, I disagree with you that cricket has always been far above every other game. Always. They were popular, hockey was popular, football is popular, but they were in pockets. But as a pan-India game, I think from the last 100 years, cricket is the sport. And cricket has tapped into what the people want, the fans want, and delivered a product which sort of is attractive to them. I think other sports have to find their own way of getting fans and commercial partners there. But some sports are doing it very well. Apart from cricket, look at the success of the Kabaddi League. The volleyball league is thriving. Many other sports are finding commercial partners and a market. So I think it's a process. Everybody will find his share. But if you take 100% kind of a situation, cricket will always remain 90. I don't see that changing.
Sir,
My question is regarding
sir,
the
one second, sir. The gentleman was there before you.
Sir, I just like to ask a question which is very different. The official cricket book which maintains the record for the past 200 years is known as Wisden. उसमें IPL records तो maintain ही नहीं होते. So if you are earning let's say 30 crores a match and you are hitting 8 sixes in an over, it won't be recorded. तो आप उसमें क्या बोलेंगे? IPL record should be maintained, included, or it should be an exclusive book? Please.
Let me answer that. Firstly, जो आपने कहा ना कि IPL is a domestic tournament, and IPL is there is what they call first class cricket. There is what is called list A cricket, which is 50 overs, and there is T20 cricket. So IPL features as a domestic T20 tournament. Now there has been a recent there are various leagues happening. Recently, this ILT20, the IPL of Dubai, that's been given official status by the ICC. There's various reasons for that exception. But there's nothing wrong in IPL record not being in Wisden because it's a domestic tournament with 7 Indians and 4 foreign players.
By profession, I am an engineer. My question is regarding the pitches which are being made in South Africa, India, or elsewhere. The matches which were supposed to end in 5 days are being played only for 2.5 days. What will be your comments on this?
Lal, please answer why there are wickets so bad and who's responsible. And I'm sure you played in matches where matches have ended in 2 days. आपने भी कई बार wickets को doctor किया है, मुझे पता है. He had this reputation as, you know, Mr. Lal went from Delhi to Bengal. Now Bengal cricket at that time was considered, you know, not very tough. They were a middling kind of a Ranji Trophy team. Mr. Lal went there and taught them all the tricks of how to win. One of the tricks was how to bully the other batsmen, how to sledge, how to get under the skin, how to prepare wickets, how to doctor wickets. So please explain now.
Thanks for that, Moni. Anyway.
Listen, that's your major contribution to Indian cricket.
Okay, jokes aside, wickets, yes, it's a serious issue, sir. It is. And it's, you know, it's the prerogative of the home team to have the wicket that suits them. But the ethics of the game and sportsman spirit and the gentlemanliness of the term cricket or the spirit of the game would dictate that it is kept within reason. ऐसा नहीं कि 5 दिन का खेल है और आप ऐसी विकेट बना लो क्योंकि आपके पास स्पिनर हैं और ऑस्ट्रेलिया के पास स्पिनर नहीं है तो आप वहाँ पे अखाड़ा बना दो और लंच टाइम तक 2 इनिंग कंप्लीट. ऐसा भी नहीं होना चाहिए. पर within reason, it's always been part of the game. That is why somebody like Ricky Ponting would say that coming to India or to Pakistan is a challenge for us teams because that's the last frontier. We want to come here and on Indian wickets against Indian crowds, we want to win. That's the challenge. It's always been the case. But now what is happening is that ये World Series आ गई cricket, Test cricket championship, you want to win at home, तो अब आप देखते हो, we are also guilty of this. अब आप देखते हो, इंग्लैंड आई है और अक्षर पटेल जो टीम में है नहीं अभी कहीं पे, पर वो ले रहा है 7 विकेट, इंग्लैंड ऑल आउट 90 and you finish the deal because you need those points. So ये शायद अब यहाँ पे गौर करना ज़रूरी है. हालांकि मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ कि डोमेस्टिक क्रिकेट रणजी ट्रॉफी में now they have, like you have neutral umpires, they have neutral curators. कि अगर बंगाल का मैच है दिल्ली के अगेंस्ट और वो बंगाल में हो रहा है तो वो बंगाल का ग्राउंड्स में नहीं बनाएगा विकेट, वो आईसीसी का नॉमिनेटेड न्यूट्रल क्यूरेटर आएगा और वो विकेट बनाएगा. क्योंकि ऐसा ना हो जाए कि बंगाल के पास स्पिनर्स हैं, उन्होंने रोल ही नहीं किया और पानी ही नहीं दिया और ऐसी विकेट बना दी कि वो दूसरे रोते ही रह गए और ये पॉइंट ले गए. तो जैसे हमने देखा अभी हुआ है, आई डोंट थिंक इट वाज डिलिबरेट. I think Cape Town has a character that sometimes there's too much freshness in the wicket. What I think was deliberate was Fleming in New Zealand, when India went to New Zealand, वो हम सुबह सुबह उठते थे मैच के बारे में सुनने के बारे में, और मैं 5 बजे उठता था और सुनता था इंडिया ऑल आउट 90. और वो फ्लेमिंग ऐसा कप्तान था कि he would come out into the press and say, yeah, this is terrible, these wickets are so soft and it's not good for the game, and we'll make sure that the next match the wicket is better. But he'd quietly go and tell the curator, साले और पानी डालो. So ये रहा है, जिसको बहुत ज़रूरी जीतना है, जिसको इसके बारे में ज़्यादा तकलीफ नहीं होती मेंटली, ये करते हैं और करते रहेंगे. मे बी आगे जाके न्यूट्रल क्यूरेटर्स भी हो जाएं, who knows.
As captain, how often were you punished, suspended, fined for bad behavior?
Bad behavior, I don't think, but conniving, manipulative, adjusting, I certainly have been.
I think at some other time I'll narrate the story where you watered the wicket at the end of the play on day 1. So I think we'll end it.
Okay, मैं आपको और बता दूं, we are so concerned about wickets, like you are also concerned about the wicket. But एक और ऐसे शख्स रहे हैं, big captain, Ian Chappell of Australia. हम बात करते हैं ना, विकेट ऐसी है, हम किसको खिलाएं, ये तो तीसरे दिन टूट जाएगी, बड़े एक्सपर्ट्स हैं इसमें, कि एक एक्स्ट्रा स्पिनर खिला दें, वो कर दें, ये कर दें. पर इयन चैपल से किसी ने पूछा, he was captaining Australia, and he said, Ian, aren't you going to see the wicket? He was going to toss. So he said, why? Isn't it 22 yards? He said, यार विकेट क्या देखनी है, जो विकेट है, I've got the best 11 players. अब मेरे पास डगी वॉल्टर्स है, मेरे पास ये है, शियन है, रेडपाथ है, मैकेंजी है, ये है, ग्रेग चैपल है. I'm not going to change my wicket, my team, because these are world beaters. आप हमको खेत में खिला दो, आप हमको रोड पे खिला दो, आप हमको पर्थ में खिला दो, हम जीतेंगे जीतेंगे, और टॉस जीत के मैं बैटिंग ही करूंगा, जो मर्जी हो जाए. So
thank you to both the co-panelists. It was an absolute pleasure to interact with you and chat with you. So I think we can have the giving the thanks to them.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for such an informative, insightful, and exciting session. Now, I'd like to request Reema Ahuja ji to please come forward and felicitate our speakers as a symbol of our love, respect, and gratitude.
This was going so well, I think nobody wanted it to stop. But that's the thing of a good festival. Each session has its importance. I'm going to start with you. You're right here. Thank you.
The memento, ladies and gentlemen, is also the mascot of the Bhopal Literature Festival 2024. It is a painting by senior most gone artist Ram Singh Urvati ji. It is a pretty motif that represents evolution of life.
Are you going to also hold your book? Yeah. Colors are going to